Let's take it to Dinesh Kanabar, Chief Executive Officer at Dhruva Advisors, who's with us. Dinesh, good to have you with us here. Good morning. So if you're a FPI, for viewers watching, very simply put, if you're a FPI who's bought stock here in India before that date of cutoff for threshold, grandfathering, 2017, and they sell now, or whenever this rule is implemented from, after that, will they now have to pay tax here in India? If they came from Mauritius, that is.
Yeah, I wish the answers to most questions on tax were as simple as yes or no. But let me just first make a couple of quick background points before I answer that question. Surbi mentioned earlier when she was analyzing the provisions to say that if the principal purpose why you use the treaty was tax evasion, then the treaty can be denied to you. Unfortunately, the wordings are a little bit wider, and it says that if one of the principal purposes why you use the treaty was taxes, then the treaty provisions can be denied, which means you got to show that there was no principal purpose at all to use the treaty for tax planning or tax avoidance, number one. Number two, the principal purpose test is something which OECD has recommended. It is something which India as a member country to the OECD amendments has accepted, and it is coming in each and every treaty. It is that until now Mauritius was resisting it. Now it is being brought in the treaty. But I think that is not really the only challenge. The challenge is that the protocol, which is seeking to amend the treaty, has got a specific wording, which is not very happy in terms of its reading in English, which goes back to say that this amendment will apply irrespective of the years to which taxes relate and irrespective of the point of time when the taxes are assessed. As I said, the wordings are not very happy, but it leaves credence to a fact that all past investments, whenever made, even if earlier grandfathered, could now be regarded as covered by the new amendment. And therefore, any assessments happening, maybe even reopening of the past assessments, could be potentially possible under the amendment. And that is where the whole Pandora's box opens up. And it is also, Prashant, not just about the taxability itself. India exorcised the ghost of Vodafone very nicely long time back. The repeated finance ministers have made statement on the floor of the parliament that we will not change our laws retrospectively, and the actions have consistently demonstrated that. It is therefore necessary that this amendment to the treaty, which is consistent with the global framework and which ought to be there. So I have no challenges with why the amendment is happening and whether it is consistent with global principles or not. But it should be made applicable prospectively and not for the past years. And unfortunately, the amendment itself is really so worded that it could give itself interpretation that it applies to past years whenever investments are made, and whenever they are disposed of, it doesn't matter. The tax authorities could come after you.
Okay, so the principle is clear. We've heard it from the government that they don't want to do retrospective stuff, but the language, right? I mean, many a times it's the technical language which allows tax officials to go after some of these things. So that needs to be clarified, and hopefully we will see that. As things stand right now, so for example, in 2023, we had so many strategic stake sales, right? P investors sold, VC sold, so many, MNC sold. Many of those investments would have come from Mauritius. So as this stands right now, the amendment stands right now, the language allows for, and if these investments were made before, and they were sold in 2023, but were made before 2017, they could be liable? I mean, the IT department could go after them?
That's what I'm saying, that barring an amendment, barring a clarification as to what does the government intend to do with this amendment, as things stand, it is potentially possible that the tax authorities could go after such divestments which have been made in the last couple of years, which will come up for scrutiny now, and say that please demonstrate to us that you are satisfying the principal purpose test. And even though you may have been earlier grandfathered, that grandfathering we will not apply to you because you are now supposed to satisfy principal purpose test. This may relate to any earlier year, but that's what the treaty says.
And that this will impact, I mean, if this were to impact, and hope it does not, will impact FDI more than FPI, portfolio more than portfolio flows, FIs, etc.?
I would think so. I would think that it will impact FDI and FPI both, but probably FDI far more than FPI.
All right, Mr. Kanabar, we'll love to have you, to talk more, and we will do that, but we're just sort of racing towards market opening. So thank you so much. Really helpful to get your expert perspective on this issue, which of course is garnering so much interest, has been garnering since this came out all day yesterday as well. Sonia.
Okay, Mr. Kanabar, thank you so much for joining us. We have a market